Welcome to Power Up with PT Podcast. I am so happy you have joined me on today. I believe that God has a word. Are you ready? Let's power up. Well, today's episode is entitled, My Flaws Can't Hurt Me Anymore. Let me tell you, everybody has something that they don't like about themselves. Even when you look in the mirror in the morning, I know with me, I can look and think of a few things I wish I could change. You see, flaws come in many shapes and forms. We all deal with things we don't like about ourselves. I don't care how confident we are, how we try to block that part or keep that part secret and hidden. Only the Lord really knows our struggle is real when we deal with things that we don't like about ourselves. I call them flaws. You see, flaws can become walls that block us from entering into new places, new heights, new levels, even new chapters in our life. Flaws are established by how we value and view ourselves through our character, our image, our thoughts, and even our actions. You see, these flaws can hinder us because we begin to view everything from an eye of what I call perfect. Everybody loves perfection. We look at the perfect body. We look at the perfect marriage. You know, we can always look across the room at what we think is perfect instead of seeing perfection in the eyes of God. And some of you, you may be listening to me now. You may be on your lunch break sitting in the car, or maybe you're working out, but I'm here to tell you, I don't want you to become frustrated with your flaws, because God has a purpose, even through our shortcoming, even through our brokenness. And many times, we think our flaws kind of keep us from moving forward. They keep us locked in. It's like a trap. It's like a cycle. We see our flaws even through our actions because we keep tripping over the same thing. We keep struggling over the same thing. But I'm here to tell you that even Apostle Paul had the same issues. Oh, yes, the Bible says he had a thorn. I want to say it was a flaw. It doesn't say what it was, but we know it was an issue. And a lot of times, Paul was crying out to God. He was frustrated. He was saying, God, if you could just take it away. I can feel Paul on that because there are some things in my life I don't want to struggle with. I say, God, please take it away. And one Bible translation says that Paul begged God, please just take this away from me. In other words, I don't want to deal with it anymore. And some of you may be at that point of frustration as you're listening. You're saying, God, I don't want to deal with this issue anymore. I don't want to deal with this flaw. I don't want to deal with this shame. I don't want to deal with the guilt that comes behind the flaw, that comes behind the shortcoming, that comes behind the weakness. And what does God say to Paul? He says, I'm not going to take this away from you. I'm not going to remove it, but I'm going to give you the grace. He says, my grace is sufficient for you. Oh, I'm here to tell you that you have grace on today. I know that you don't want to deal with it. I know that the struggle is real. I know that you have battled maybe for a long time with this, but I'm here to tell you that God is going to give you the grace. You know what I love about Paul, because he was an anointed man of God. He was an apostle. Oh, yes, he was able to bring thousands of people to Christ. He was able to heal and deliver. And he was a great man of God, but yet he had this thorn. He had this flaw that he was not happy with. And there are some things in your life and in my life that we're not happy with. And we're like, God, if you could just take this part away. But I'm here to tell you, God is saying, no, I'm going to teach you how to walk, even with the limp, even with the thorn, even with the flaw. God is saying that I have given you grace. Oh yes, my grace is sufficient for you. I don't care where you are in your life right now. I don't care what you have done, maybe in your past, maybe even in your current, but I'm here to tell you that God is saying my hand is still upon you, that I have given you the grace. And just because I don't take it away doesn't mean that I don't love you, doesn't mean that I'm not going to use you. As a matter of fact, God is saying that as He begins to move in your life, He is going to show you how strong He is. He says, my grace, yes, is sufficient. In other words, He's saying that my power is strongest when you are weak. Oh yes, let me tell you, sometimes we want to be in control of everything, but God is saying those weak areas in your life, God is saying it's an opportunity to show you how strong I am. Oh yes, God said I'm stronger. Yes, even in your weak moments, I'm going to show you. It gives me an opportunity. Oh yes, to show my strength. To show my power. As a matter of fact, God said in every weakness in your life, every area, oh yes, that you fall short in, God said I'm going to use it for my glory. Oh yes, sometimes, we try to hide our flaws. We try to hide the things we don't like about ourselves. Even us ladies, y'all know we put the makeup on, we cover this blemish, and we cover this mark. And sometimes we gotta learn how to pull the mask off and begin to walk and know that our flaws are the beauty marks. They're the things that we may not be happy with, but God is going to use it. Oh yes, to help somebody else. God is going to use it to show you how strong He is. He's going to show you how much He loves you. Oh yes, that even through our weak moments, even through the times where we think we are not good enough, God is saying, I'm going to show you, oh yes, my grace and how much I love you. Paul, yes, he learned how to walk through the grace of God. He learned how to walk it out. He had to come to the conclusion that his flaws could no longer hurt him, but they were a part of his success. Oh, listen to that. Oh, yes, your flaw and your issues can no longer hurt you, but they are going to be a part of your success, because the world will be able to see that even through your weaknesses and your shortcomings, that God was still being glorified, and He can still use you. You can't give up. You can't turn yourself away from the voice of God and think that it's over for you. Let me tell you, it is not over. Oh no, God said, I've got a plan. I got a plan. If you learn how to walk in grace and be bold in the things that I have called you to, God says you are perfect. You don't need anything else. Hallelujah. You don't need anybody else in your life to tell you who you are. God is saying, I have made you perfect in the eyes of me. I have made you perfect in the eyes of me. God said those flaws and those things can no longer hurt you. Stop going into the box. Stop going up under a blanket. Because you are ashamed of your flaws. But I hear the Lord saying that it's time for you to rise up and know that He loves you enough to grace you with His power. To show forth His glory. As you begin to walk in His grace and know who you are, those flaws, yes, will no longer make you feel guilty. Those flaws will no longer make you ashamed. But oh no, it's going to give you boldness. So get up from the place that you're at and know that God has you covered. Oh yes, you are covered by the grace of God. You are covered, oh yes, by His Spirit. It is a blessing. Stop allowing what you see as a weakness to hurt you and cripple you, but start seeing yourself as God sees you. Perfect in the eyes of the Lord. Yes, you are perfect. He loves you enough to cover you with His grace. Stop spending all all your time picking out the flaws and mistakes of your past. Oh, yes. Stop trying to prove yourself to others. Let me tell you, God said, I created you in my image. You have nothing to be ashamed. And he says he's remaking you. He's giving you something fresh and new. He is going to take that part that is weak and apply his pressure. Oh, I love that part. He's going to apply his pressure. You are going to learn how to fulfill your purpose and every assignment in your life through the power of your weakness. Oh, yes. You see, it's the weakness that's going to be gloried in the sight of God. God said, I'm going to use every part of you. Oh, don't think it's strange. Oh, yes, that you have to deal with situations, because God is saying those same situations I am going to use for my glory. You see, God knows. He knows all of our flaws. Oh, you're not surprising God. Oh, no, God said, I know all about it. He knows all of our flaws and where we fall short in our issues. He knows about the weak spots. He knows where we limp and when we limp. But yet he still loves us. He loves you. He loves you. God said, I'm going to use your flaws as beauty marks. Oh, yes, your flaws can't hurt you anymore. But God is saying, I'm going to use them. The more flaws you have, the stronger you are becoming. You know, you need to tell yourself, this is the last time that I look in the mirror and see flaws as a defeat. This is the last time I'll allow my shortcomings, my weakness to control me and hurt me. But I'm going to use my flaws. You know, even when you think about it, you don't even deserve it. I don't deserve God's grace. But yet he still gives us grace. And this is the last time I'm going to allow the enemy to allow my flaws to defeat me. God said, I'm going to carry you with my grace. God said, I've got enough strength to carry you and your flaws. I got enough strength and enough power to carry you and the things that you don't like. Oh, yes, I've got enough power to carry you and your mistakes and our mistakes. God says, I have the grace. I have the grace to get you to the finish line. I have the grace to get you to the place where you're conquering, where you're winning. I've got the grace. Stop beating yourself up. Stop allowing your brokenness, your shortcomings, your weaknesses to defeat you and to hurt you. But God is saying, I've given you grace to endure. And every weak area in your life, God said, I am going to use it. You are not alone. You are not alone. But his grace is sufficient for you. Now, all you have to do is accept it. You have to accept God's grace. Because we're good at accepting defeat. We're good at accepting the enemy's defeat. But I want you today to accept God's grace. Tell yourself, I have grace. God has given me grace. And I'm going to walk and I'm going to move in his grace. Flaws and all. God has me covered. God bless you. I hope this message has inspired you today to no longer let those flaws hurt you, but begin to allow those flaws to take you to the next level in his power and in his grace. Well, this is PT, and thank you for listening to my podcast. Listen, if you get a chance, go ahead and like my Power Up with PT Facebook page. I am also on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Go ahead and like my page. Leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. And again, I appreciate your support. Love you. Bye-bye.